Okay, welcome back students. Okay, in this video we'll be covering the basic syntax. See, when we write your C program, there we are using either functions or variables. Okay, these two are the basic building blocks of your C program. So either we use functions. Functions, when I am saying, they can be user defined or predefined, and variables, data variables. These two things we use in C. Functions are nothing but logic and data variables are nothing but your data. So when I gave you the differences between C and C++, that is nothing but structured programming and object-oriented programming, I told you that in structured programming we'll be focusing more on logic rather than data. But whereas in object-oriented programming we'll be focusing more on data rather than logic. Okay. In structured programming, logic is the primary thing and we give least preference to the data. And in object-oriented programming, data is very important. Everything is data. Okay, you have to consider in that way. Everything is data. Forget about logic. We'll implement afterwards. We can hire a good professional to implement the logic. But data, how we can secure that, it is very important. So, this difference you have to understand. Okay, in your C program, we have only these two things and nothing to secure this data. That is the reason why data is insecure. Nothing to secure this data, we have special things, that is the reason why the data is insecure in C programming. But whereas in C++, apart from this data, as you can see over here, I have bottom two things where instance variables are nothing but your data. Instance variables are your data and methods are nothing but your logic. Methods, functions, subroutines, procedures, just the synonyms. Everything represents the same thing, functions only. Methods, when I am saying, it is a function only. Okay, data, function, data, logic. Okay, in order to secure the data, we have classes and objects as well. Okay, these two, classes and objects, object-oriented basic building blocks. So when we use classes and objects in our program, your program will become, your program will follow object-oriented design paradigm. Hopefully you understood. So your C++ program may contain these things. Object, the definition I have given already in my UP concepts class, and class I have defined. Then method is nothing but function. Instance variables, that is nothing but data variables or data. Okay, so your C++ program may have all these things. Okay. So quickly go to the next slide. Okay, this is the structure of your C++ program. Structure of your C++ program. So very simple to understand. Only this namespace, what I am using, that is the new thing. Okay, we have a separate concept, namespace concept, to understand what is a namespace. By the time you simply remember, wherever I am using that namespace, I am starting a new scope. Scope, you might be aware of it, because in my previous semester, in my last semester also, I have explained scope means the area where you can access a particular variable. Okay, the lifetime of a variable. Scope is nothing but the lifetime of a variable, where the variable is created and where the variable will destroy. Okay, between that we call it as scope of that variable. So here namespace represents scope. Okay, you simply remember namespace in the sense scope. So as I have explained, in order to use this cout object, because I am performing the output, it is a simple program. I am simply printing hello world on the output screen. I am simply printing hello world on the output screen. So when I am printing that hello world on the output screen, I have to use the cout object, because I told you that everything will be done with the help of objects now. Object oriented programming, everything will be done with the help of objects now. So cout object, it is a predefined object, and where that object is defined and where that object is available, in the sense inside that IO stream header file. So over here, writing that .h is not that much mandatory. Okay, if your compiler insists you to write the .h, then only you write. Okay, in many modern compilers where we practice this C++, like your Dev CPP, basically we do all programming in Dev CPP. In your previous semester, in your first semester also, we use that Dev CPP only to run the C programs, isn't it? So writing this .h after that IO stream, it is not mandatory. If your compiler insists, if your compiler is showing errors, then only you put this .h, otherwise no need. Okay? So inclusion of the header files, we are using #include. #include is your preprocessor directive. #include preprocessor directive we are using. After that the file name iostream.h, and then we are starting a new scope for our programming using the namespace std. Okay, it is a standard namespace, standard scope or default scope we can say. Okay, in every program you have to put this statement using namespace std. Using namespace std. Yeah, then writing main, again it is very important. In every program you have to write the main function. Without main function, the purpose of writing the main function is to allocate the memory to your program. Without the main function, no memory will be allocated to your program, and your program will not be executed. That we discussed in C also. So here also the same thing. In every program you have to write main function. Okay, in my previous slide also I have shown you every C program may have objects, class, methods. Methods are nothing but functions, and then the instance variables, data part. Okay, so inside main, yeah, what I am doing, I am printing that hello world on the output screen. The rest of the things, like putting that get ch, clr, scr, okay, that you can add according to your need, that you can add. I am simply writing that hello world message over here. Because my main method's return type is int, main function's return type is int, I kept return 0 over here. Okay, so simply what this program will do, what this code will do, it will print hello world message on the output screen. You quickly go through it and make yourself familiar with the coding. Many things are exactly same. Like using the main function, it is same. Using the #include, it is also similar. Over there we are using stdio.h, but over here we have to use iostream.h. iostream. Okay, then writing the main function, it is same like your C programming. Over there to print the output, we are using printf. Over here, cout followed by the output stream operator. Okay, it's a simple program, it's a simple structure of your C++ program. Okay, if you execute this save and execute this program, you will get this output, hello world output on your console. Okay, just go one slide back. Okay, comments in C++. Basically, why we use these comments? For documentation purpose, isn't it? The code what we are writing, if a non-professional will visit your code, okay, he will not understand the coding part. He will not understand what control statements or what building blocks, what programming constructs you are using inside your program. He is completely a lame person. He is not having any idea of C or C++ programming language. So what we do, whenever we are writing some statements, some coding in our program, what we do is we put some comments in that program so that the lame person will understand, the non-technical person will understand, isn't it? So why we are using comments means to document our coding. For documentation purpose, we use these comments in our C++ program. Okay, read that first statement. Comments are explanatory statements. Explanatory, what they will explain? Our coding they will explain. Whatever we are coding, they will explain. Okay. Yep. In C++, we have two types of comments. Single line comment, multi-line comment. In C also same thing, single line, multi-line. Okay, single line we use two backward slashes, isn't it? Multi-line one backward slash followed by the asterisk symbol. Yeah, over here it is possible to write only one line of code, one line of comment. Okay, where the line is ending, there only the comment will end. Yeah, multi-line comment, we have to use, we have two tokens. For single line comment, only one token, and the closing will be the end of the line symbol. Closing will be the end of the line symbol. But for multi-line comment, you can have multiple lines, and here we have end of comment token as well. Starting token, end token. We have two different types of tokens. Okay, so nesting of comments that you can refer from C. There we discussed in detail these comments. Okay, in your notes also I kept everything in detail. How we can nest one comment into other, that is nesting single line comment into single line comment, nesting multi-line comment into single line comment, or nesting multi-line comments into nesting single line comments into multi-line comments. Which one is possible, which one is not possible, which one will raise the issues, which one will not raise the issues, all those things we discussed with thorough clarity, isn't it, in our first semester. Same concept you can apply over here. In C++ also comments are same like your C programming. Because when we are referring your previous year university question papers, specifically they ask these questions. Okay, what are comments in C++? Briefly explain. Like that they are asking for 3 marks, for 4 marks they are asking comments in C++. That is the reason why once again I am giving some introduction about that comments. Okay, just to revise you. So after this quickly we'll get into functions. C++ functions. See, one thing I just want to make it clear over here. The basics in your C programming we learned in 5 units and throughout the semester. As you can see, C++ basics they have squeezed in your first unit itself. Not in first unit, in half of the unit only they have put all the basics of C++. And in the second part of your C++, we have to discuss about algorithms, which is a major part in your data structures. We have a lot of scope of asking questions from that algorithms concept. Okay, so very soon we'll discuss that one. So hopefully with these functions we'll conclude these basics and we'll get into classes and objects. Okay, so again, what is a function? It is a piece of code separated from your regular execution. We can call a function, we can define a function like this. It is a piece of code separated from the regular execution. So for a function to use, we have to define, we have to declare, and we have to call. What is function declaration? We are already familiar. What is function call? We are already familiar. What is function definition? We are already familiar. So just go through those concepts once again. So yeah, for these functions we have different names, isn't it? I told you in some other programming languages we call these functions as methods, subroutines, procedures, okay, like this. So for logic to represent in your programming what these things, methods, subroutines, functions, procedures, what they will represent means logic. In your programming they will represent logic. Logic to represent we use functions. Okay, or just the synonyms, whatever I am writing over here, just the synonyms, procedures. In some programming language they call this as procedures, or subroutines. We also have this name, subroutines, or methods. Methods. These 4 are the synonyms of the logic part. Whenever you are separating the logic from your regular execution, we use these things. So C++ functions, they are also same. You have to define these C++ functions. We said it is the logic separated from the regular flow of your program. Understood? So to perform any task, we create functions. In C++, Also same thing, to perform any particular specific task, we create functions. Yeah. Using functions, what advantages we have, that we will see in our next slide. So these are the advantages. So modularity means we can divide the big task into smaller units and we can solve those smaller units separately. Okay, to minimize the task, to minimize the difficult task, we use functions. So there we are achieving the modularity, dividing the big task into smaller tasks, smaller modules. That is nothing but modularity. So to achieve modularity, we are using functions, or with the help of functions, we can say we are getting modularity. Reusability, only one time you define the function and you can reuse it. Okay, you can reuse it. Then optimization. Suppose if you are writing same statements for multiple number of times, that is not an efficient way, isn't it? You are adding two numbers for repeated number of times. So without functions, what you have to do? You have to write the same code again and again for adding two numbers. But with functions, what we are doing? We are writing only one function for adding two numbers, and wherever it is required, we are simply calling that function. That in that way, we are optimizing the code. Code optimization is nothing but making the code efficient. Making the code efficient. So these three are the basic advantages of using functions in C++. The first one is modularity, dividing the big task into smaller units and solving those smaller units separately, and finally combining the solution to form the big solution. So in that way we are achieving modularity. Then reusability means define only once and use again and again. And then finally code optimization means making the code efficient by reducing the redundant code. Okay, in our next upcoming class we will see parameter passing techniques. That is the last concept in functions. After that we will get into classes and object. Okay, thank you very much.